I stand here today somehow as the founder of Free and Equal Elections. It's simply I'm a visionary. It's a foundation that's created for the people. And it started in 1998. I don't ever go too much into deep roots of how it came about, but it was when I was 17 years of age that my father ran for governor as a libertarian candidate in Chicago. And I'd grown up my entire life down in Texas and then just kind of transferred into high school into Illinois, sophomore year, junior year. It's a whole new world. And around a father, my biological father, Jim Tobin, I'd never met him till I was 13. I was raised thinking somebody else was my biological father, so I have a hyphenated last name, and he passed away tragically when I was about 11 or 12, and I found out 6 months later that he wasn't my biological father, and I had a second chance, a second father. And so why I bring this up is because I didn't grow up around a political upbringing. I was thrown into it around 13, 16, 17. My dad's been running National Taxpayers United of America for over 40 years now. And he's fought tens of billions and so on in tax increases throughout Illinois. 98 was really his peak. He ran for governor and he had a really high-profile race. He collected over 60,000 signatures to get on the ballot, and I learned at 17 you have to get at least 25,000 signatures to run as a third-party independent, and only 5,000 as a Democrat Republican. I was very flabbergasted, confused. Why 5 times more signatures? Dad was a threat to the system. You know, when you're a threat to the system, what do? They knock you off the ballot. He was recommended by the hearing officer to be placed on the ballot, and the State Board of Elections still wrongfully knocked him off the ballot. My dad sued the State Board of Elections directly out of pocket, so it wouldn't cost the taxpayers anything, for wrongfully knocking him off the ballot. It went to the Supreme Court, and unfortunately he lost. When you have a two-party system that appoints these judicial system judges, they're not going to be in favor of getting candidates like my dad on the ballot. It was that year Richard Winger, who was up here earlier, Ballot Access News, he called me the silver lining of 98 because I got mad at that time. I was 17. I got angry. I was really upset. And so 4 years later, I took a semester off from college and worked as the ballot access coordinator for my dad. He ran for lieutenant governor, and he got on the ballot, got him on the ballot. Finished college. I finished college, and I ended up devoting probably 5, 7, 8 years of my life helping 50, I don't know how many candidates to get on the ballot in Chicago. I worked deep within the dark state dungeon of the Chicago Board of Elections, truly as I felt a pure light and helping to get these accountable candidates on the ballot. And I had a winning success rate, but I saw inside what they would do to knock candidates off the ballot. In fact, in 2004, I was hired as the state ballot access coordinator for independent presidential candidate Ralph Nader, because I was the only one in the state that had a reputation of helping get candidates on the ballot like my dad. And then once I was hired for that job, unfortunately didn't have enough signatures that I was handed, but I saw within all the state employees coming in, they were full-time state employees from, at that time, the Democratic Majority Leader's office, Michael Madigan. And so I ended up suing the first lawsuit of 3, and I hope I don't have to file anymore, but I fight for what's right. I stand up for what's right. And I sued the Democratic, Majority Leader, Michael Madigan, for using full-time state employees and successfully knocking an independent presidential candidate off the ballot. Shame on him. The Republicans are just as guilty, Democrats alike. It's a one-party system, one-party duopoly. I lost that lawsuit. Again, flawed judicial system. I protested in front of his office for 20 weeks in a row in the winter, every Friday, until the police came down and said they were ordered by, I had the permit, everything, they were ordered by Michael Madigan to arrest me if I didn't stop the protest. I would have been handcuffed. So I did what was the best thing to do for me at that point in my life. I moved 10,000 miles away to Bali. Dan saya tinggal di sana 3 tahun. I lived there for 3 years, learned the language. In fact, the first month I was hosted by a Balinese family and really got to understand the roots of Hinduism and Taoism and all these religions coming together. Such a beautiful place, Bali. Before we all really heard about it. My dad didn't really like me going there, but you know, I'm a lot like my dad, pretty independent, so it was the best thing I could do. I started a jewelry company, Bali Gems. I have a shop in town. Sorry, it's called Bali Jewel back then. I have a shop in town called Bali Gems. And my manufacturing industry was, my manufacturing company was raided. This is going to my second lawsuit. Raided by Indonesian police, paid off by a big corporation, John Hardy, to steal all my designs. And he's sending, letters to all my buyers in the US saying that I was infringing on his designs when in fact he was stealing mine, backdating copyrights, working with the Indonesian government to claim as his own. So I came back to the US and I sued John Hardy. I bring up the story because after 2 years of litigation, in fact, the lawyer who took the case took it pro bono. His name was George Bullwinkle. I kid you not. I walked into his office. He had the moose, and he took the case because I had sued Michael Madigan 4 years before and paid that lawyer $10K before moving 10,000 miles away. Most people wouldn't pay. They just moved 10,000 miles away. But it gave me a good reputation. He took on the case. He said, the reason I'm taking on this case is because you remind me of my daughter, and I don't like my daughter to be bullied. And I see you being bullied. And I stand up against bullies. And 2 years later, I settled. Details to the short, it's online, but for $250,000, $250,000. And I bought my little white car I have here still to this day. It's almost vintage, which I still drive around. And I put it all into free and equal elections. That was the basis of where free and equal came about. And while I was in the States in litigation, I could not sell jewelry. Ralph Nader gave me a call. I became the National Ballot Access Coordinator for Ralph Nader. I started as a statewide coordinator. That February, a month later, I was overseeing all 50 states. Really, we could only afford enough money for 45 states plus DC to get on the ballot. Ralph even told me, and he is, relentless, right? Ralph Nader, right? Christina, I don't think you can do it. He got sued in 2004 by the Democratic Party, knocked off the ballot in 32 states. And I said, we're going to do it, and we did it. We overcame the odds. We shall overcome, and we did. I do stand as an expert in the ballot access arena, but I learned from Ralph in 2008 at an Open the Presidential Debates rally. I think it was Denver. Jesse Ventura was there, and Tom Morello, Rage Against the Machine, Cindy Sheehan, who unfortunately couldn't make it here today, but she's joining us pre-recorded. I learned from Ralph Nader. We went to the DNC, and we were standing in front of all the press. And he goes, Christina, I could interview with every member of the press right now, but I wouldn't reach but 2 or 3% of the population of what the Commission on Presidential Debates reaches. And I have this light bulb. I'm late 20s. What's the Commission on Presidential Debates? Gosh, it's so corrupt. It's run by the former chairs of the Democratic and Republican Party. They stole it. They stole the debates from the League of Women Voters. In 1988, they pushed the Women's League of Voters out of the Commission on Presidential Debates. And to date, the League of Women Voters has called the Commission on Presidential Debates a fraud, that they have perpetuated a fraud on the American voter. And that platform is a fraudulent platform. It creates this false illusion that there's only two parties. There's not. It is Ralph told me, one of the most powerful tools that the two-party system uses to create this grand illusion that there's only two parties. Hence the creation of free and equal elections in 2008. Boy, we've hit some hurdles. Just the creation of free and equal elections alone. I'll put it in a book in great detail one day. I'll probably go up into Big Sur and do that. I already have told myself, once I live in Cambria 10 years, I'm going to dive into Big Sur. I love it there. It's so relaxing and grounding. But what I learned from that situation with the ballot access and Ralph Nader and the debates, and we booked the first debate at Columbia University. We had every single media outlet you can imagine throughout the United States confirmed. We couldn't even keep 3 phones open. Everyone, ABC, NBC. It was booked. I just had one problem. I couldn't get one candidate to confirm, even Ralph Nader himself. There's a big backstory to that, but a week later, the beginning of free and equal elections came about, and Ralph Nader agreed to debate Chuck Baldwin, Constitution Party candidate. That was the first time historically, since the creation of the Commission on Presidential Debates, that another presidential debate was nationally televised. In 2012, Larry King, condolences to him and his family. broadcast legend, man, of wanting more voices, more choices. I couldn't have imagined sitting next to someone so fair and so equal and free and equal, that to moderate next to somebody like that. Our reach was 1.1 billion, probably reached tens of millions or so. And I remember that camera turning on, and it didn't even faze me. I didn't even have a voice the day before. I was so sick at that debate in 2012. But the voice came back, and that debate really did reach the masses. In 14, I thought to myself, gosh, is there anybody else out there in the world creating a platform that can bring and bridge everyone together? Audrey said it, everyone together. And I didn't see it, and it was scary, because I could see from within what was coming. And I realized, okay, there's a destiny, a calling here. As much as I want to go live in Bali, 10,000 miles away, and do my jewelry design, I didn't see anybody else doing it. And so I decided and made the choice, this is going to be my calling for life. And we launched, and it confused a few people within the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, not so much these days. Like, why are you launching a festival? You know, you're doing presidential debates, just do that. You're so good at it. I knew it wasn't going to be enough. My mind was expanding, my ideas, and frankly, I might have got a little bored just doing that. You know, I wanted to do more things for our nation, and so the creation of United We Stand Fest came about in 2014, which is about uniting artists and thought leaders and we the people, peaceful we the people, you know, giving peaceful messages and recognizing there are no problems, only solutions. Mr. Lennon is right. So United We Stand Fest is about sparking that conversation, and truly, there's nothing hidden here. It's to inspire people to run for office. This is an independent candidates movement forming here. This is it. This is what's happening. This is the long-term goal. Since 2010, we've been hosting annual electoral reform symposiums uniting experts from controllers to Secretary of State to League of Women Voters, individuals like Richard Winger and so many more. I have learned so much about the flaws of the electoral system beyond ballot access, beyond voting machines. Should we have? Yes, proportional representation. Should we have? Yes, alternative voting methods like instant runoff voting, score voting. I mean, the list goes on. Approval voting. Yes, yes, yes. We don't have it because by not having it, keeps these two parties keep getting reelected over and over again, right? Gerrymandering, and the list goes on and on. Media, Hollywood, music. Okay, 2014 United We Stand Fest. We have a corrupt music industry. Music is the healer. Music is what's going to unite our nation, hence the creation of United We Stand. In 14, we were slated at UCLA. Third lawsuit. 10,000 people. We had it. We had Public Enemy, founding members of Wu-Tang Clan, Marianne Williamson, Dennis Kucinich, Brother Ali, Immortal Technique, Dr. Bronner's, Ben & Jerry's. Keep going and going and going, confirmed for this event. UCLA didn't want it. Shame on them. Shame on the university system. I saw from within them attempting and in many ways breeding their own. Sued UCLA. And they offered me big money to settle privately. And I said, the only way I'm going to settle privately is if you also include, on top of the dollar amount, us being able to hold United We Stand Fest at Poly Pavilion again. That will show you're genuine in your error of breaching the contract. Because they lied to the media. They used their own media to say I failed to make payment on time. I knew I had to file that lawsuit to clear our name. It was very toxic, borderline racist. Maybe Chuck D of Public Enemy will speak of that one day on our stage once I show him all the documents of what the administration at UCLA had to say about Chuck D and Public Enemy performing at UCLA. In fact, he's been on our stage and he has said, UCLA, we know what you did. Go to Christina Tobin for the answer, for the truth. So I did not take the big money offer because UCLA did not want us to host United We Stand, naturally, at their facility again. So I took the chance and we won the lawsuit. Wasn't nearly as much money, but I don't care. I don't care. I knew it would come. As Ralph Nader told me in '08 in his book, Only the Super Rich Can Save Us, didn't really know it might be in the crypto whatever world. What was that back in '08? But he was right. Wise man. I stood for what was right, didn't take the money, didn't even blench. They were shocked I wouldn't do it. They'll see why. So one day I will be putting in a book the details of that. So here today I decided, we've had United We Stand and we've launched Free and Equal TV, and what's happening today, I'm definitely locked in to do this annually in Cambria, but I also am planning to tour again and bring it back to Cambria, to get back to the kids, maybe build with people here who have the vision of a charter school for our kids and so on for the youth. And that is my calling. I look forward to visiting every place in the U.S. and Earth. I mean, it's so fun. Life is so short. My goal is to get everywhere within reason. I want to thank some of the most inspirational people in my own hometown are the kids of Cambria Skate Park Initiative back there. It's only the right thing to do that all proceeds from this event gives back to the community, because real change, that starts from the bottom up. And these kids are the young future activists that are doing it. They've already raised over close to $200,000 of their $500,000 goal to rebuild the skate park. In my opinion, it was just wrongfully torn down by the elected officials here in Cambria. There's 5 of them, and I only trust one, Harry Farmer. That's it. In fact, we hosted a candidates forum in 2017. Mr. Ed Asner came here. He moderated our 2016 presidential debate, and that forum made a difference. Harry beat out the incumbent by 33 votes. Do you know this is, I think it's one of the last towns in California that has not had massive growth and development? Oh, they were planning on doing it, and they did not want me to be here in Cambria. When I moved here 10 years ago, they were very challenging towards me, and I'm glad I stuck it out. But I'm definitely here to stay. My roots are very, very deep and grounded in this beautiful place. So I want to end on a note before we move on. I want to thank you for listening and taking in the story that I've shared, so close and so dear to me. What's happening in the world, what the government is doing, is not by accident. I knew years ago the pharmaceutical industry, I could see with Mind Unleashed and Collective Evolution and all the social media pages that they were going to be censored. That's why I decided to put all of our effort into building these events, these symposiums, these debates. When 9/11 happened, what did the system do right away? They created National Defense Authorization Act. They created the Patriot Act. Shame on them. That's why that's my first song that I performed yesterday. Shame on you. I'd be willing to perform it once more maybe, but. And in those words, shame on you, I say, shame on you. The solution is we're going to replace all of you. We shall rise and run. Thousands will come. And when we replace all of you, the disease, they are the disease. Don't be distracted by what happened last year. It's the system that's the disease. And do they have the intention of repeating that over again? Yes, they're capable of it. I hope not, but I'm hearing that they are capable of it. The censorship happened on the internet, Collective Evolution. They came to me and said, Christina, this is years ago. We have never seen so much pushback as soon as people were coming, against vaccines. They said they had never seen so much money funneled into social media to shift that to be pro-vaccine and to start censoring and messing with the algorithms. And I thought, oh, here it comes. The pharmaceutical. We have a big supporter. He isn't here today. He is here in spirit, and he will be here in the future for United We Stand as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I've had the honor of speaking with him, and I know a few people in this circle have been reaching out extensively with him. Remember when he filed the first lawsuit against Monsanto? And everybody was like, what is that, Monsanto? The farm next door, the McCall farm, the owner there, she is the person that Bobby F. Kennedy Jr. represented right next door here. He stands for integrity. To see him censored off the internet, this is the I don't see another direction to go in. I stand here, it had to be, it is written. And I ask all of you to continue to support us on our tour as we evolve, support the youth, give back to this Cambria Skate Park initiative, and thank you so much. I want to end on these notes, on these words. I love the song by Michael Franti. Have you followed his work? He submitted a pre-recorded video for us. I loved when I saw him. I believe he performed definitely at this gentleman by the name of Pete Seeger, his birthday. And I've listened to his song so many times over and over again. The one that really truly resonates with me, and I feel this calling of what he wrote it for is exactly another inspiration of United We Stand as we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We are not afraid. So thank you so much to everybody, the whole team, the co-hosts, the sponsors, the kids, for what you're doing, and the whole Free and Equal team, our hosts, of course, our co-hosts of this event, the Brock Pierce Foundation, Independent National Union, and Open the Debates, all of our sponsors. There's so many of them. Thank you for making this a reality. I know our stream yesterday, I was told, reached over 40,000. We have a video of Cyrus with Skate Cambria's reached already 200,000. And so we are just at the beginning, the prophecy of all of these tribes coming together. The eagle, the condor. To have the Kogi tribe, Kandi Maku here. And all the tribes, Lakota, Yamasee, Choctaw, and more and more. To have somebody that's left Columbia, my understanding is the first time, and Jim up in Canada having a video, pre-recorded video for us, to hear from the Kogi tribe, the North and South has united. The eagle, the condor is here. That has reaffirmed that the work that I've done with free and equal elections is for this very reason today. And I will keep going and going and going and never give up. Thank you.
Wait a minute. No. You guys got to get up. Come on, get up. Get up, stand up. Stand if you can. Stand up. All right, this is the voice. This is the voice of our mother, okay? This is the voices of our grandmothers. This is the voice of our lineage. So it's like, remember how important it is, like we say, the women are the creators. And if you are a man in this space, remember, contain, connect, support, protect these words. There's a strength in this woman, but there's also a fragileness. And it's our duty. And it's our honor to show up for our women, to show up for the creators, and show up and be. All right? So let's be, men. Let's be that. Let's be that containment. This is the pearl. Don't drop the pearl. Don't let her drop. Hold that pearl deep in your heart, all right? And then everything will come. Yes, yes, yes. All right, we love you.